All right. Here we go, back again on the other side of the coin. All right, welcome back to the other side of the coin, ladies and gentlemen. We are back again with another live stream just before I went to bed. Obviously, we've seen the news. Finally, The Rock has come back. Now, we've just seen the news, ladies and gentlemen, that the fourth name has been confirmed. So I had to come on and had to discuss all of this with you. Had to, make sure that you guys are all well informed and we are well on top of this managerial situation that is happening at Chelsea Football Club. And ladies and gentlemen, it is now confirmed. It is now 100% confirmed. Sky Cave, so obviously Sky Sports reporting this. We've got people from many different other sources as well now confirming all of that. Let's go straight to the news. Breaking final shortlist for Chelsea head coach job. Roberto De Zerbi, Thomas Frank, Enzo Maresca, Kieran McKenna. So this is seems to be this is now locked in. And when you look at that particular shortlist, you'd think that, come on, Roberto De Zerbi now has to be the out-and-out favorite at the moment. So, look, I'm happy, man. I'm happy. I'm glad. We're going to get into the whole details of all of this very, very soon. Was it always Roberto De Zerbi from the get-go? Was it all a trick, the first shortlist? We're going to talk about all of that. But before we do that, let's have a look at all the news that's been dropping. The day started off with this particular news. One of the other Chelsea candidates is Roberto De Zerbi. Sources maintain they want to be thorough and will settle on the right man. This is coming from, I believe his name is Rahman Osman. Yep, he's quite trustworthy, I suppose, when it comes to these sort of news. Thomas Frank has had meetings with Chelsea. This is coming from Christian Folks. Look, maybe he did have meetings, but I don't think he was ever a out-and-out contender to get the job at Chelsea Football Club. As I said, Sky Cave from Sky Sports, Cave has reported that this is the final four, and it's all locked in. And then more news. This time it's coming from this particular individual who's been very heavily involved in producing a whole heap of news. Excuse me. Whole heap of news in regards to this particular managerial situation. Roberto De Zerbi is the fourth name on Chelsea's shortlist. This is coming from Kieran Gill of Daily Mail. So, and I think Ben Jacobs has also chimed in as well. Chelsea's final shortlist has been drawn up with a desire for dynamic, forward-thinking and progressive coach who fits in with the club's ideology. Now, look, I think De Zerbi fits all of this. Dynamic, forward-thinking, progressive coach. He fits in all of that. Club's ideology, well, yeah, I'm not sure whether he really fits into that. But are they willing to perhaps compromise? Chelsea Football Club owners now thinking that, look, if we get the right person, we're happy to back that person and happy to take a bit of a backward seat. We'll see what happens if that's actually the case or not. We know we've already figured out that our owners, they do want a lot of say. They do want to have their hands dirty. And sometimes when they get their hands dirty, they actually ruin the whole situation. So maybe at times it's better that you don't get your hands dirty. The list reflects the desire to appoint a dynamic, forward-thinking and progressive coach who fits in with club's ideology and has experience coaching English football at a high level. So from that list, you can tell Enzo Maresca and Kieran McKenna, they don't really have experience in the highest level. Thomas Frank obviously is still a shout, but I just don't think this is, when you think about all the other attributes, dynamic, forward-thinking, progressive coach, for me that's not Thomas Frank. So from that perspective, De Zerbi should be through. So this is what is happening, ladies and gentlemen. Look, a lot of people predicted this from the get-go that this is going to be De Zerbi. It's always going to be De Zerbi. I initially thought that maybe it was going to be Kieran McKenna. The way everyone was focusing on Kieran McKenna and the way our club, how our owners wants they want a yes man. The sporting directors are looking for a very young, inexperienced manager. I just felt that it was going to be Kieran McKenna. But I'm so glad. I'm so glad it's not Kieran McKenna, and I'm so glad that it's not Enzo Maresca. And a lot of people have been saying it makes sense to show Kieran McKenna, Enzo Maresca, and Thomas Frank, and everyone's going to be all upset. And then when you show De Zerbi, everyone's going to be appreciative. Look, I don't know about everyone, but let me tell you this much. Roberto De Zerbi is not some sort of a piece of crap manager. This is not because, they're going to just dangle these, not so great managers. And then when they dangle Roberto De Zerbi, everyone's going to be so happy. No. Don't get it twisted. For the people that understand deep down what Roberto De Zerbi can bring, he's by no means some sort of a rubbish manager. I'm glad if that's the direction Chelsea's taking. I'm very glad that they're going towards Roberto De Zerbi. Now, can they compromise with him? Because Roberto De Zerbi is not really a yes man. We've seen that at Brighton. He's not really a yes man. For me, honestly, I feel like Roberto De Zerbi is a very, very good choice. Miz, can I jump on? We can discuss the news. Yeah, brother, you can, no problems. I wasn't planning to be on for too long, but happy to send you the link. Let me send you the link, bro. Happy for you to come on. Give me 1 second. There you go, bro. Link sent. All right. So yeah, for me, by no means Roberto De Zerbi is some sort of a compromise. I think it's a very good choice, in my personal opinion. I've mentioned it many times. His core ideology, his core philosophy of how the game needs to be played is sensational. It really is sensational. So for me, this is good. This is absolutely good. Ruben Amorim, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Ruben Amorim is not in the list. Xavi is not in the list. Those guys are out. They're finito. It's not going to happen. Your guy, Roberto De Zerbi, seems to be getting the nod. I hope this ain't a Matisse Poch moment. Look, it may be. I'll tell you this much. I want to be very, very patient with Roberto De Zerbi. I don't want any more chop and change. This is it. We've now got, in my personal opinion, a particular manager that is worthy enough to be backed. Honestly, I feel like we've now finally going to get and if it does happen, that we can finally back a manager. I don't want any more chop and changes. This is the manager that you wanna back. This is the manager that you listen to, and you go, okay, let's get it going. Let's get it on. None of the other ones in the list I don't know too much about, and I'm not willing to back them till the cows come home. No, this is the one for me. This is the one. So next season, I expect better. Of course, I do expect. I'm hoping with Roberto De Zerbi we can make it into Champions League position. But even if we don't, I don't want this guy to be sacked unless it's an absolute disaster. Unless we end up coming 9th, 10th, 11th, and all of that nonsense. As long as it's not that, I'm not willing to chop and change anymore. As I said, finally, I feel like there is a manager that should be able to get the best out of everyone in our squad, that should be able to develop all our players, that should be able to play a brand of football that will be exciting for us as a fan base. It should be able to give us far more control in the game. And Yeah, we need to be absolutely patient with this particular signing. I've got the Kafka's view. Alexis, brother, how are you, my man?
Not too bad. How are you, man? How are you
Good.
coping with all this manager, this manager, this manager?
I'm coping fine, bro. I love it. I love this sort of news floating around. It's a great buzz, bro. I love the fact that there's a whole heap of things to talk about. It's never boring, and it's things to always discuss. How are you finding it, bro?
Right, man. I took a different approach this time. Last year, I was reacting emotionally to every Nagelsmann link, every Enrique. This time, I
Yeah.
literally said, whatever happens, I don't believe it until we start seeing pictures. So, like, I'll cover it, we'll talk about it, but I'm
Mm,
always like throwing disclaimers to people. Like, like the McKenna news is crazy. The Enzo news was crazy for
mm.
me, and that's why I never bought into it. And now it's like conspiracy FC's coming true, right?
What can I ask you? Why didn't you buy into that? What made you think that Enzo, Maresca, or McKenna, especially the McKenna one, why didn't you buy into that?
Because what I found interesting with those was I think the jumps are too high. I don't know enough to say whether they're bad managers, right? And this
Mm,
is why I was like, people are like, oh, you want McKenna, you want Enzo. No, I don't know what they are. So I find it very difficult. It's like saying a piece of food, someone puts some food in front of you and you go,
yeah.
oh, I don't like it when you haven't tried it. We don't know what they like. I don't watch Ipswich. I've watched 1 or 2 games. So you give them different ingredients, they might be better. But I just don't believe that you invest so much money to
Yeah.
trust like novices into the field. Like they're literally graduates into the field, 18 months and 12 months.
But
So
doesn't it make you think the way our owners are moving, the way they part ways with manager, they parted ways or sacked Thomas Tuchel, non-footballing reasons. It wasn't really because of the results that was happening during Thomas Tuchel time. It was because he wasn't collaborating enough with them. Similarly, with Pochettino, looks like they parted ways because they probably believed in different ideologies, which I find it strange when you hired a particular manager. You should have done the homework, what type of ideology he was going to bring in with. But nonetheless, they parted ways with managers for non-footballing ideas. Didn't it give you an impression that they want to hire a manager that is in line with their vision completely, and someone like McKenna, who obviously young, inexperienced, shows that robust nature of winning mentality, being coming from League One to Championship, now promoted to the Premier League? Didn't it feel like that? It all kind of fits. Like they're looking for a certain individual. It kind of looks like that's the guy.
but so from the way that you describe it, it does sound like it fits.
Mm,
But the issue there is we know and we've heard they want Amorim. They like, or they were impressed by Amorim twice. They
yeah.
couldn't get him out. Like, so there's like, I remember, so I was
By the
just
way,
in
I
Portugal.
know Amarim's your guy.
He's my guy. So like, I was in Portugal. I've got Portuguese family, right? Through
Oh, fair
marriage.
enough. Yeah.
So they're Sporting and Benfica fans. They know a lot. And they were explaining to me about the second time Chelsea came, it was Amorim that didn't want to go purely based on the fact he doesn't like walking out during seasons. He owes
Okay.
Sporting too much to do that. So I was like, okay, that makes sense. Now we can get him.
When was the second time, by the way? Is that last summer?
Poch. So
So
no,
last summer.
before not Poch. When Potter got the job, they spoke to him. They couldn't get the job. They wanted
Okay.
him before the season started. Apparently, Chelsea like wanted to get rid of Tuchel
Yeah.
after the whole Arsenal interview. Remember in preseason when he came out?
Yeah.
They spoke to him. They interviewed. The reports in Portugal were saying they interviewed him on a yacht. They like
Okay.
get the whole like they wined and dined him. They wanted him, but then he was like, "Oh, this sounds weird. I don't know." They got rid of Tuchel and they went straight to him again, and he said no.
Okay. So
That's what
he didn't
the
believe in the
reports.
project. Amarim didn't believe in the project.
He didn't believe in leaving at the time during the season. He's very
Okay.
loyal. Like he's like on record as saying he doesn't believe the faith Sporting showed in him by making him the most expensive manager in the history of Portuguese football,
Yeah.
that he repays it by walking out. This is why the whole West Ham thing was such a like travesty for them.
Yeah,
They were
yeah.
threatening to attack his house. Imagine, that's how crazy it was. Like the Sporting ultras are crazy. But
We're gonna
now,
get to that because I never understood the whole West Ham thing, why he did that. But we're
none
gonna
of
get
it.
to that. But continue. So the second time around, he came in.
Yeah. Second time around, it was like, okay, we'll go with Poch. But then now reports have come out that they went sideways with what they wanted with Poch. It was almost the middle ground. And Eunice liked one of my tweets today and we interacted. Our problem isn't the directors not knowing what they're doing. Our problem is too many directors.
Mm-hmm.
So I will always, this is why when people are like, oh, we're linked with McKenna, I don't think McKenna would have come in because who wanted McKenna in that room? Like, you can't sign off with McKenna and Enzo Maresca. And with Enzo, it's a Joe Shields apparently one. Like, this is what the rumors are coming out.
That I can believe because he's got connection with Joe Shields from Man City. If you connect the dots, it kind of makes sense that he might want to favor that guy. Do you know what I mean?
And honestly, I feel like the manager we've got now makes the most sense for the next 2 years. I feel like it makes sense for the next 2 years. After that, I think they'll move on again because the 2026 manager market is going to be very interesting. With after the World Cup, Nagelsmann will be available again. We don't know what's going to happen with Alonso then.
Yeah. So when you say the manager that we have now, what do you like? Were you talking about Poch?
Yeah, no. I think De Zerbi's going to stay 2 years. I genuinely think it'll blow up. Like, this is it. This is.
So you're convinced as well that De Zerbi is going to happen. You're convinced it's going to be De Zerbi.
Oh yeah. It has to be De Zerbi because. So the rumors, I've been reading, and what's really interesting is, you know how we have our Twitter bubble where we've got the sources we go to that collate information. When you're in a foreign land, you talk to the people that have their bubble, so they get their information. And the information why Liverpool and Amorim didn't work was because Mendes, who is Amorim's agent, wanted 10 million signing on fee for Amorim, and he wanted 10 million a year. And Sporting last minute said, we don't want 12 million for a release clause, we want the full 20 million. And Liverpool said we won't.
So the money was too much. The money was too much.
The money was too much. So what they tried to do was, we'll go meet with West Ham publicly and force Liverpool's hand.
And I think right. Okay. So West Ham was not really ever a target. It was a mechanism to get them to get Liverpool to buy into it.
Yeah, because apparently West Ham gave him everything he wanted. He had control over what signings he was going to get. The team would be built in his image. He basically would have every sign-off for anything he wanted. They were going to give him 100 million budget. He didn't think the club was luxurious enough and needed too much work he preferred to stay at Sporting, which makes total sense for me.
Tell me more about, because a lot of people say, and I kind of believe this, few people said to me that, look, Sporting kind of have the same sort of situation where every season they lose their key players to European giants and whatnot. And I sort of thought, do you know what? That's probably a model that kind of fits with us, because I'm pretty sure down the track, Chelsea's going to do the same thing. We're going to be a selling club down the track. Who knows if we show any ambition to do better? I don't know yet. It's at the moment, it's still confusing because we're not doing well. I thought from that perspective, maybe Amorim could fit the mold because he's used to losing key players. And he's going to come into Chelsea. He's probably not going to worry too much about who comes in, who goes out. He'll just get on with the things. Why do you think this time around he's not in the shortlist? Like, I actually thought, even though I kind of had a feeling that it was probably going to be De Zerbi, and I wondered, like, De Zerbi, I think very highly of him, right? And we're going to get to that. But how come Amorim this time around hasn't been considered even on the list?
So I feel like it stinks of they've been rejected behind closed doors. And I don't think they wanted a public rejection. I think they most probably rang him. That's just my opinion. I'm speculating most probably here. Because he fits the bill perfectly to the point where there's quotes of him coming out and saying, this is the type of club we are. I get players. I make them better. We sell them and we get better players. This is our model. I know what job I'm in. That sounds perfect for Blue Crow.
100%. That's to the T.
And like literally, they loaned the kid to Nottingham Forest, Ribario, I think his name.
Yeah.
He is super highly rated within their academy. Like, people were shocked And they asked him, why are you not angry? He said, I know the job I'm in. Like his response was, what am I meant to do when I know what I signed up for? So what I think happened is, I think they spoke to his people and he just doesn't want it to get involved with our shit show. Like, and
you reckon that's probably what it was, that he looked at the entire project that was laid out to him from Chelsea and he said, I don't really believe in this.
Because there was strong, when reports come out, like we've done this long enough, it's either an agent talking or it's either one of the clubs talking.
Yeah.
The reports coming out was it's his dream this year to push for a move to the Premier League when he was linked with Liverpool.
Yes. Yeah.
Huge links.
Yeah.
Prior to that, last week, Sporting gave him a whole celebration for winning the league. And in their celebration, the owner or the president came out and he gave a full speech. Amorim didn't say a word. And he said, we've got the best manager. We've given him protection. It was almost like a, please stay with us. We love you. Like it was so nice to see a club fighting to keep their manager so publicly and praising him.
Yeah.
And I genuinely think there must have been this is my opinion. I think there were public discussions with Chelsea behind closed doors. And they're basically saying, we've got protection and you could lose your job at Chelsea. Like within 12 months. Don't do it. Wait for a bigger club. And sadly, that's what we are now. Like, there are bigger clubs than us.
Do you know what, Alexis? That makes sense, because if you piece it all together, he obviously wanted a Premier League move, or else he wouldn't be involved with Liverpool.
Publicly.
He also went so far to entice Liverpool back in that he went and invited West Ham conversation as well. So it kind of feels strange that how come Chelsea isn't in the mix? Like, we're looking for a manager.
Do you remember the whole private jet saga?
Yeah. Chelsea apparently paid for the private jet.
There was a journalist that was like in Portugal that was really popular at the moment, that like he was really blowing up. And there was pictures of him on Rui Costa's jet and everything. So he was in the know. He knew everything that was happening with Liverpool. He knew everything that was happening with West Ham. And then when he said Chelsea paid for the mysterious thing, everyone said, oh, it's not true. Why wouldn't it be true when they already knew they were sacking Pochettino? And then clearly he just didn't get the whole
do you reckon
trust.
that we did pay for it? We probably did pay for it.
I wouldn't be surprised. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we had meetings with him, tried to persuade him, used West Ham as a smokescreen. He said, no, it's not for me. And then it's like, okay, but we wanted De Zerbi all along. And Alex Goldberg has been religiously saying they don't want a public rejection again.
Yeah, that wouldn't look very nice on them. We're going to get to De Zerbi talk very, very soon. Just to wrap up the whole Amorim situation, honestly, Alexis, obviously we've known each other for a while, right? And we know how our perspectives are. How you feel about the fact that we've now seen several managers not believing in this project that Chelsea's trying to run? Nagelsmann rejected it from the get-go. Thomas Tuchel, obviously, as we said, sacked, parted ways, whatever the case was. Pochettino as well. And now Amorim looks like, and the story kind of makes sense about Amorim. I think it probably was a rejection. How do you feel about the fact that there are so many quality managers that are rejecting Chelsea Football Club and their project?
So Enrique was rejected. It wasn't the other way around, right?
I think Enrique wanted more power. He wanted more transfer power, and he wasn't going to get it. Yeah.
And then we don't know what happened with Nagelsmann publicly, because we're hearing two sides of the story. I think he wanted more power as well, and I also think the idea of going back to a Leipzig type of club rather than when he had no power at Bayern was not right for him. So I just feel like we've got a great squad. I said this. I remember Goonie, Eunice, and November. They laughed me out of the stream, right? They're like, "No, we don't have a good." I think we do have a good squad, and I think the next manager coming in, he's gonna have such an easy job because he just has to make us look a little bit fluid, and everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, these players are actually good." Like I just feel like it gets to a point where we're not going to attract Pep Guardiola. We're not attracting Klopp. And even they don't have full control. I think the minute Liverpool started getting worse from the way they started signing players is when Klopp started having more say with which players they were going to bring in.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
if a manager doesn't want to come to Chelsea on the standpoint, I want more of a say, then I don't think you're the right manager, even for me, not just for Blue Coat. That's how I feel. I'm a
But you know
firm.
what? Just to interject on that, that's a very good point. That's a very good point. But just to talk about from a Chelsea perspective, I feel you can't be confident in that method with Chelsea is because I don't feel confident about our board of directors. I don't really feel they make the right decisions. So that's when I get upset that how dare you ask for more control when I don't really feel comfortable knowing that you can make the right decisions? Because so far you've made a lot of wrong decisions. Okay, you brought in some really good players, a couple of very, very, very good players, but overall, from a managerial appointment, you've made a lot of mistakes. Whereas Man City, the Liverpools that you're talking about, their board of directors, I feel like you can have the control because you've shown me a track record of good, successful decisions. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you know what? I always find it like, we know with a manager, within 19 games, you can tell what kind of manager he is.
Of course.
That's my. With sporting directors, the first hire of Potter wasn't them. Like they weren't in, like Winstanley and Lawrence weren't in power when Potter was hired.
True.
That was Bowley.
I think that was more Bowley. Yeah, that was Bowley.
Yeah, that was Bowley getting conned by agents that with the Koulibaly deal. Like, let's be honest, like he got schooled.
Yeah, he got schooled.
He paid yeah. Then they hired Poch. Strike number one for me. Because what you said is perfect. How did you sit down with Poch and have such misalignment in your views? And Matt Law said something on another podcast. Usually I don't listen to Matt Law, but when he said that, I just laughed. He said, they always had the idea of reassessing him this year and sacking him this year or giving him an extension. And I was like, that is very interesting. Because if you knew, oh, we're going to sack him in a year, why did you give him the job?
It doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense.
So for me now, this appointment is going to define Winstanley and Lawrence. Because I think if this doesn't work, one of them sacked.
Bro, I said it just before you go off again. I said it, if this time a manager gets sacked again in 12 months' time, the sporting directors need to go first. I'm sorry.
It's not they need to go, they will go.
Yeah.
They will go. Because remember, right? Blue Co are like made up of what? Todd Bowley, two other guys, and an investment bank.
Feliciano.
Yeah, and the investment bank is Egbali and Feliciano. They have shareholders they have to like appease. And if they start saying, hold on, one of our businesses is not working, why are the decision makers not working properly? They've been there 3 years. They will get rid of them. And personally, I would love one of them to be demoted or gone because I want one person in charge. You know who's accountable. You know who's at fault. Like, if anything, this shortlist stinks. Like purely not even by the names because I don't mind the names. It's how it's constructed. Oh, this one's this person's person. This one's this person's person. This one's this person. And it's like, okay, so what decision? How are you making a decision? Are you picking straws? Is it, we'll go with you this time. We're going to go with Eunice next time. This time we'll go with Miss. Like, it makes no sense. Like,
and the names are so like varied as well. You've got Thomas Frank in there. How's he in that list?
He's got the worst agent in the world. Because he just gets linked with jobs only to be used as filler. United, Liverpool, Chelsea, Bayern Munich, named with all of them, interviews and doesn't get the role anytime.
Doesn't get the job. No, you're right. Now,
but De Zerbi on a positive note.
Yeah, I want to talk to you about De Zerbi. Before we do that, Jan, thank you so much for the super chat. De Zerbi with these players will have, will cook. I agree as well, and we're going to talk about this. Alexis, I want your genuine feelings and your genuine thoughts about De Zerbi. Don't hold back. Say it how it is. Do you think he's worthy? Do you think he's not worthy? Do you think he's just going to be a flop? Or do you think this is the right guy that we need to back and be patient with? What's your thought?
No outstanding candidate. I want to say that from the beginning. There wasn't one before. There isn't one now. Unless you get Amorim, and I'm biased there because I really like him. De Zerbi is a phenomenal. Two schools of thought. he's a horrible manager who only does circuits and the circuits run out. Other school of thought, he's a mastermind, second coming of Pep. I'm in the middle. I think he is going to develop this squad very well. I think he's going to give them like patterns of play that's a lot of young players need to learn for their game.
100%.
We're going to get to a certain point where it doesn't matter if Enzo's injured, Lavia will come in. It doesn't matter if Lavia is injured, Santos will come in. They're practicing these patterns on a daily basis. They know what they're doing. You're going to just literally plug in players. And what I like about him is the patterns. Secondly, he doesn't do fake promoting of youth like Poch does. So it's not going to be Alfie Gilchrist at right back because he's 20 and not Josh Achapong, who's 18. It will be Josh because he's a right back. He will play right back.
Yeah.
So
he's not going to try and fit players unnecessarily.
Exactly. And I really like that. People say he's a system manager. I like a system manager. I want my manager to have a plan. I know what I need to see. And what else I like from De Zerbi is De Zerbi's got this energy where I can keep up with Pep. I can keep up with Arteta when he hasn't achieved anything. He doesn't have an inferiority complex. He went to the Emirates and they absolutely destroyed Arsenal 3-0 when they had a Caicedo, McAllister, and Colwell. And this was a good Arsenal. So for me, it's like, you have a good manager. I didn't like Poch's whole, we will try. It's a process. You won't get that from this manager. He'll say, we're growing, we're developing, but we need to win now.
Yeah. And he would mean it. And he would actually mean it. Like, this guy actually wants to win. Do you know what I mean?
And what really annoys me is the using context in the wrong way. So, for example, people are like, he's got 7 wins and 31.
Talk to me about this.
Can we put this in context? They're a team that finished 11th. They played Europa League football, won their group, by the way. Comfortably. With Marseille, with other teams in it.
AEK Athens and Ajax.
They get hit with injuries and then their season drops off. And for me, it's not Chelsea gets hit with injuries. It's Brighton. And it's a Brighton team that lost McAllister and lost Colwell and Caicedo. That's this middle part of your pitch that's gone. We've been screaming we need a new spine. They lost their spine.
How important Caicedo and McAllister was for them last season? They were integral to the whole philosophy. Stripping those two away and then replacing them with kids. You're not going to have the same, impact.
And finally, I think the biggest one of all, right? And this is where I think Bluco will sit down. What is he known for more than anything? Developing wingers. Matoma, Adingra.
Solimarsh.
Solimarsh, Inicio. I think Enciso. I think
Enciso.
And then there's another Peruvian, I think, Bonavente.
Bonavente,
These are all forward lines players that can play in any one of those positions.
But throw in Adingra as well. Throw in Adingra.
What do we have coming in next year? We've got Pais and Estavio coming in. You don't think they will trust the manager of this magnitude who has a proven record with kids?
100%.
And then you give them Nkunku, you give them Palmer, you give them Noni. Or maybe Elise if Noni's gone.
Yes. Yeah.
And I just feel like...
Yeah, go on.
It's a responsible... do you know what? I feel like me and you are at different spectrums of being critical of the ownership. I feel like you don't like them and you want them... not the ownership, directors. You want them completely replaced. Yeah. I feel like they're making bad decisions. And if they don't fix up, I want them replaced.
Yeah. So you're a little bit more giving. Whereas I'm fed up, man. I'm fed up.
And for me at the moment, if we're going to get rid of them, in 12 months, I can't sit back and say this is the wrong appointment because out of the managers that are here, this is the one that I would have went for if I'm do you know what I mean? I can't.
I 100% get it. I 100% get it. Yeah.
And I feel like I never had that with Poch. I notoriously said, if I was Lee Gunner, I'd be saying Poch out even before he signs this contract. But I'm going to give him 19 games. So it was... man, it is what it is, though, man. I'm excited.
we're gonna. I'm glad you're excited, bro. Like I see so many people downplay De Zerbi a lot. Look, I'm not saying he doesn't have flaws, and I want to talk to you about some of his flaws, right? Because I think even the flaws, it's a little bit misguided as well. You look at, I don't know about you, Alexis. I actually watch quite a lot of Brighton. I enjoy watching them. I'll be watching them for past 2 seasons. After Chelsea, I actually watch Brighton a lot. Even though all the animosity that we have with Brighton, I actually enjoy watching Brighton, right? One of the biggest issues with Brighton is, and of course, De Zerbi, he believes in 1v1 situation everywhere. He loves his 1v1 everywhere. And he expects his players to have the technical ability and the physical ability to overcome the opposition. Now, it's Brighton. There are going to be times where in defense, Lewis Dunk, we've seen it several times, catastrophic mistakes from Lewis Dunk or Van Heek or Webster or Veltman or, Steele or whoever the other goalkeeper is, Verbruggen, I think that's his name. Tariq Lamptey will make mistakes as well on the left side because it's highly oriented 1v1 situation. I feel at Chelsea, and I know people are going to laugh in the live chat, or when I say we have a little bit more quality. You'd think we have more quality than those players. Like, we do. I feel De Zerbi bringing in that ideology with the level of players we have and how I'm hoping they should develop even higher, do you know what I mean, from where they are right now. We should be able to execute his football a lot better than what Brighton is doing. And we shouldn't see that many mistakes at Chelsea Football Club. Now, there may be mistakes in the early stages. They could 100% be mistakes in the early stages. But I think down the track, we should be able to execute his football a lot better. Do you agree, or do you think there is flaws in his game?
Every system has flaws. Pep's system yesterday had a flaw. And I feel like people believe like systems are meant to be impenetrable. Like every system is penetrated every now and then. And I feel like we've seen Colwell in his system already. Colwell looked like one of the best young players in the world in his position.
We all went crazy for Colwell after seeing him for 15 games.
Do you remember when Colwell took that picture with Billy Gilmore and everyone thought we were going to lose him? The outrage, the tears, the euphoria of, oh my God, what is happening? Brighton are going to poach one of the best young talents.
Yeah.
It's because in that system, he looked so comfortable. He looked great. Yeah. And we are going to make mistakes. There are going to be days where we're going to be thumped 3-0, 4-0. But guess what? That happens to Man City sometimes. But the better quality players you have, the better you're going to be. And someone in the comments said, he said Alexis is making excuses for De Zerbi for injuries and like time to develop a squad, but he never did this for Pochettino. That's a lie. I gave Pochettino 19 games. After 19 games,
you actually were patient with Poch. You were a lot more patient than anyone else. I think a lot of people were already Poch out like months ago.
It took Man United away, where I think it was the 18th game, where I was like, this is the worst performance I've seen in a while. I'm humiliated. You got one game, and even then you can win 20-0. I want you sacked. Because I've seen what we're doing. When there's a method to the madness, I'm like, we're doing something. We're building up something. Under Poch, I saw basketball. It didn't suit our best players. By the way, next season for Enzo, Caicedo, and Lavia, the team's going to be built through them. Like, in the sense, they're going to be them. Their excuses are going to be non-existent because you either stand up and be counted now, or the problem's you.
100%. De Zerbi relies on the midfield, man. He relies on Caicedo. We saw how Caicedo was deployed at Brighton. McAllister. Enzo will have to do the McAllister kind of job pretty much.
He can.
He can.
And you know what I feel like we do as a fan base more than anyone, and it really frustrates me. We prop up other people's players. And we dispose our own players as if they're garbage. I saw Real Madrid fans tweeting, why don't we just go take Enzo off Chelsea to replace Cruz? And I was like, isn't it funny how they appreciate our player more than we appreciate ours?
Yeah, we I hate when we do that. You saw what Enzo did in the Instagram story, right, with Tony Cruz.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, another season of flop, like another season of not good results from Chelsea Football Club. This guy will start looking like these players are not going to waste some of their precious years of their career just to be patient with Chelsea. Do you know what I mean? But having said that, let's talk a little bit about the patience situation. We're going to then touch base on the Poch. I really want to hear what you have to say about the Poch stuff, how he got sacked and whatnot. The patience. Look, I liked De Zerbi for a while. So this isn't a new phenomenon for me that, oh, now that we're linked, I'm on board. Now, people know me who's known me. I've liked him for a lot, for a while. And as I said, I watch quite a bit of Brighton, right? I think he's the kind of manager I feel like we cannot. We're at a stage, Alexis. I feel you just can't chop and change anymore. Like you've done enough. You've done enough chopping and changing. You now need to seriously trust a manager and let them do their thing with this squad and completely believe in it. I feel this is the guy now. This is the guy that you want to now fully commit to. No half-ass, like, oh, I can't give you this guy. I can't give you that guy. Oh, that guy's got to get sold, even though that guy is important for you. You've got to collaborate proper collaboration needs to happen. Alexis, do you feel like, and when I say that, a lot of people are like, oh, but what's your expectation next season? Look, I expect Champions League football. I do expect to get back into top 4. However, if Roberto De Zerbi for certain reason comes 5th or 6th, I don't want that to be chop and change anymore. You just slowly keep building on it. That's my point of view. Unless he horrendously stuffs up, like he comes 9th, 10th, 11th, and then you go, do you know what? Was he really the right guy or not? I'm not really sure. But for me, if he makes the top 4, well, then he's a shoo-in. And even if he just misses out by a whisker, I don't want to make any changes. Is that how you feel, or do you want to keep chopping and changing if the expectations are not met?
So for me, it's as simple as this. This squad should have made top 4 this year. This squad needs to make top 4 next year. I think making top 4 isn't difficult with the quality of squad that we have. I think, so if you're the manager that I'm meant to think you are, and the manager that is coming into Chelsea, you need to do better than Pochettino did, because I think Pochettino underachieved. Otherwise, we should have kept Pochettino if the results are the same. So results are important. But there needs to be building blocks. And you said something very interesting. Give him the players he wants. Give him what I know. You're not taking a job where you have an input on playing style. You're the chef. I bring you the ingredients. You cook what we need. I think this is so important for us as fans to understand.
Yeah.
They don't want a yes man. You can have discussions behind closed doors, but they don't want a person that's going to go and air your dirty laundry to the public all the time. Every time you have a disagreement at home. My mum always used to say something. What happens behind our closed doors is our closed door problem. You don't go to school and you tell them. Because we deal with it as a family. We argue, we get over it. And I 100%. Think that's what they're trying to create. I'm not saying it's the perfect way of doing things, because there is no such thing as perfect. But for me, top 4 is a minimum next year. People are saying you need to get a trophy. I don't believe in this whole judging people by trophies. But like, for example, if we won the Carling Cup, you're telling me we should have kept Poch. I disagree. We could have won the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup, finished 6th. I would have still said, I don't see us going forward with this manager because of what I'm seeing with my actual eyes.
Yeah. What you're saying is you just didn't believe in this guy. Like this guy was always going to falter, whether it's today or tomorrow or day after, he was always going to fail. Yeah, I felt the same way.
And you know, what's really interesting is they got a lot of backlash for sacking Poch. I think this is the first sign of they are maturing as an institution and as a board for saying we now are making a decision and we're standing by it. We don't care what the fans think, because at the end of the day, he's not the right person for us to give him a chance and then sack him in December and waste another season. Let's act now. And I also really liked how they stood firm on the whole. We're not sacking him during the season. We're going to have a review. So the next man can't say, oh, they never gave Pochettino a chance. They got rid of him after 8 months. No, we gave him a whole year. And And I just feel like sometimes, these owners aren't perfect, but I also don't want to paint them out as they're the worst owners. We could have a lot worse owners, man.
Do you know what? Look, my whole perspective on the Poch situation, good that we're now going to talk about this. I never cared about Poch. You know me, man. Like I wanted Poch. I never even wanted Poch at Chelsea Football Club. Like, that wasn't my selection. My selection was Luis Enrique, and obviously he ended up going to PSG. And then there was multiple times throughout the season where I wanted Poch gone. My whole situation with the Poch thing was that I was worried if you're going to get rid of Poch. I was very worried and concerned the way our owners and our board of directors were moving. Who are you going to bring in next? I was very concerned about that. It's fine and dandy to make a right decision on getting rid of Poch, but I feel getting rid of Poch and then bringing someone underwhelming, it doesn't matter what right decision you made. Like, your right decision, because of the consequent decision, was poor. Everything ends up being poor for me. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's the perspective that I was coming from. That why are you sacking Poch when your shortlist is McKenna, Maresca, and Thomas Frank? Because at that time, Roberto De Zerbi wasn't there. Do you know what I mean?
But do you? Okay, so I just want to confirm one. Do you agree we weren't swimming in the right direction with Poch?
I agree with that. 100% agree with that. Yes.
Okay. So for me, the reason I agree with sacking him is because I don't think we're swimming towards what we're meant to be swimming. And I felt like we were going away from what we were doing, to the point where I thought players like Enzo, if we give him another year, will say, no, I don't want to play for him anymore. And I want to leave. So we're wasting a year of key development for Colwell's.
Yes.
For Enzo's. So for me, it was, even if McKenna comes in and McKenna is expansive, and they were saying he's got similar tactics to De Zerbi in the sense, like, he's very tactically orientated.
Yeah.
I feel like he would have got more out of the resources we had, because
so your point is, what you're saying is Poch was just deviating us away, and at least McKenna would have somewhat brought us back in line again. That's what you're saying. Okay. Yeah, I just didn't know who McKenna was. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And for me, the argument there is, I heard, I'm not going to take praise for this. I heard someone else say this on another podcast. They're a good podcast. I won't plug them because this is different from my platform.
Who cares? Bro?
Oh, Chelsea Hour. Jerry.
You love him. You love him.
Yeah, they're my boys. But Jerry's a very good writer. And he said something really interesting. We, as fans, we don't analyze managers in the correct way. So what we do is, what have they done before? We don't look at them what they do presently. So rather than trying to unearth someone who's good now, or someone that's going to be good in the next 2 years, we look at, Jose's done a great job 15 years ago or 8 years ago. So we focus on, what have you done for me? And under those circumstances, Poch was the best candidate. But really, if you look at Poch now, Poch shouldn't even be super outdated. Yeah. Whether it's training methods, whether it's results, the way we play. So it's like, this is why I wasn't against the names. My argument with everyone, and I've been getting cooked, like my mentions, I don't read them anymore. It's because they're like, what was it that they said to me? You're enabling mediocrity. I'm like, no, I'm enabling them to do their job, and for me to trust them that they're doing research on the manager they're bringing in.
Yeah.
So,
but you see where I was coming from as well, that mistakes you've made, the mistakes you made in appointing mediocrity after mediocrity after mediocrity. How can I entrust you to make the right decision? But I have to say, if they do end up getting Roberto De Zerbi, that will somewhat get a little bit of the trust back. It will be slowly coming back into, because De Zerbi, for me, Alexis, as you said, with the squad that we have and the personality and the philosophy that he has, it makes sense. It makes sense. He will be able to utilize, as you said so rightly earlier on in the show, he's the chef. You got the ingredients. This is what we want you to cook. Do you know what I mean? So it should all mesh up correctly, unless we see something mad happen next season, and Roberto De Zerbi also goes rogue on us for some reason. But I hope this time around they do the complete homework and trust that everything is in place and we can move forward with it. Do you have any doubts for next season, Alexis? That, or are you feeling that, okay, I think the owners, the board, maybe this time they'll do the right thing and we can hopefully have a good season, or you have some doubts next season as well?
If our squad stays fit and we don't add no players, I still expect top 4.
Yeah.
So if you give me, so that's my expectation, and we're going to lose games. This is why I don't want people to. Like, we're not going to have a perfect season, and we're not going to win the league next year.
Yeah,
I think people just need. But if you expect us to, I want to win 22 games next year out of 38. I don't think that's unreasonable to ask for. That will easily get us top 4. Yeah. So from that standpoint, we're just starting off well. Like I just think, and then if they just add, I don't mind them going and buying all these young players. Just give me 3 players that are gonna come in and start for the team. Then you can go buy 5 more young players and fill up Cobham with and give the Cobham graduates from England some Portuguese lessons and some Italian lessons from the other kids they're gonna hang around with.
Yeah.
You know, so for me, like a lot of people get angry when we sign like Estavio, when we sign David Washington. For all you know, De Zerbi's going to give Washington a chance and he's the new Joao Pedro next
year. Yeah, it could be, bro. It could very well be. Who knows? Who knows?
We don't know if he's good or not. Like, this is it. We had 1 striker since January, and I still don't know if David Washington's a good footballer or not. Can you imagine how criminal Pochettino is? A £16 million investment was sitting there, and Jackson had to play every minute of every game. You called back a player in Cassidy from a league title winning championship side who was playing, who finally broke in, to give him breadcrumb minutes when you already had Santos, who would have been perfect for your system. Because
but you saw who Poch kept, right? Ugochukwu. He kept Ugochukwu because of his height, because of his physicality. It was a mismatch. The whole appointment for Poch and our squad was a mismatch. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and someone said it perfectly. Like, this manager really got sacked because he wanted to keep, Conor Gallagher cost him his job. Not in literal terms, but in terms of, I want to keep him. Yeah. I need to keep him. And essentially, that's what separated them even more. That's what. So for me, it was the right time to let him go, man. I just don't trust this player, this manager at all. So no matter what De Zerbi does next year, it was never. I will never say, "Oh, shit, he can't poach." We either got the wrong appointment now, but I agree with the appointment. So mistakes can happen. Or that's it.
No, makes sense, man. Absolutely makes sense. Let me just take care of a couple of these super chats. Jan, thank you so much for the super chat, my man. Man United broke you. Liverpool Cup final made me want that. Fraud Poch gone absolutely broke my heart. How he had us playing cowardly against kids. Yeah, there's been many instances where we didn't look good, and it was surprising that the whole last 5 games, that just out of nowhere, it was all against all odds, that really shouldn't have happened. And how it all happened, I'm not really sure, to be honest.
Miz, but you know those last 5 games, do you not think on another, Brighton could have got a draw? Brighton could have got a draw. Bournemouth should have got a draw with the last minute chance.
Yes, yes.
However, I know people say coulds and ifs, but you can play the coulds and ifs for at the start of the season. Oh, we had so many chances. It just balances out across the league. We essentially got exactly what we deserved across the season. 6th, 7th, 8th best place.
Yeah.
And it's because we play basketball football. We literally, we've got Peyton Pritchard bombing up and down the court, throwing the ball across, and someone's crossing it.
Yeah, there was no control. There was never any control. Very few games. I think right at the end, as I recall, maybe the West Ham 5-0. There was a lot more control. But there was only 2 or 3 games that you can say that was total control. I think Aston Villa, FA Cup second round, the second match, we had a lot of control. But besides that, majority of the games were all basketball games. Everton 6-0
was not. Beto
No, it was not.
missed when it was 0-0. Beto missed a sitter, and then he had 3 other chances in the first half. People forget that because the scoreline says 0 at the end. You can't watch these games back. Best tip I ever was given, right? Watch the game with your emotions, and then when you calm down, if you have some time and you enjoy watching football, go and rewatch that game when you know the score, you know what's going to happen. You see so many other things that you've missed, and you're like, how the hell did we get away with this? Or it wasn't a bad performance.
I remember that Everton 6-0, I was saying none of the goals were really manufactured. The goals were really just individuality coming in and then just making it happen. And honestly, you can look back in that Everton 6-0, you'll feel like that. Whereas West Ham 5-0, there was a lot of manufacturing of the goals. There was some lovely sequence of passes which led to the goal. So, which was quite strange now. But we're going to wrap things up. Alexis, it was actually very good to have you. I wasn't actually thinking about doing a long stream. I was because it's like 12:30 a.m. man, and I've got to sleep. And no, that's fine, man. We had a really good conversation. I'm pretty sure you're going to watch the Sporting versus Porto final.
Yeah, I am. A bunch of us are going to gather together, watch the game. Come on, Sporting.
That's it, man. That's it. Look, let's see what happens. I was planning on watching it, but it's going to be way too late for me. So I'm going to go to sleep. Big up to each and every one of you guys in the live chat. Thank you, Alexis, for coming in, my man. And maybe we'll continue having more chats as this managerial fiasco continues. I do think this week we'll probably get an answer. I reckon this week we'll probably get an answer.
By the way, don't be surprised if Monday we get another name.
Oh yeah, you never know. You never know. Just to spice things up. But yeah, big up to each and every one of you guys. Smash the like button. Make sure you guys follow Alexis as well. I'll have his YouTube handle on the title very, very soon. So make sure you follow him. And we'll see you guys very, very soon. Thank you so much. Take care. See ya.